Well, good morning, everyone. It's me, Kae Pea. I'm here in my studio, the Moon and the Maker, home of RubberMoon Art Stamps, and I'm here for day 31. 31, we made it. Yay! Of a World Watercolor Month and our final day, which I'm happy and sad about. I'm happy because it's always really super awesome to meet a creative goal. It's always, something that you set out to do and you hope you can do it. And then when you do it, it's a pretty fulfilling thing. It's been great spending every morning here with all of you for sure. But it's also, it's sort of a little bit of a bittersweet time for me because August 1st marks just 2.5 short weeks before my babies go off to college. So even though I am very happy and excited for them, they're doing exactly what they want to do and what they've been looking forward to do and what they're meant to do. But I it's hard. Many of you understand that's where I'm coming from. So it's a little bit bittersweet. And as much as I am looking forward to an empty nest, I'm also, it's a new chapter in my life. So it's a little bit scary and exciting all at once. But I know that once August 1st hits, which is tomorrow, it's going to be boom, lickety split before they're gone. And also, I have a lot of other things happening right now. I can't discuss all of them, but it's a very exciting time. But I know I'm going to be busier than a one-arm paper hanger with the hives. So it's all good, though. Everything's good. Anyway, I digress. I hope that you've all had a wonderful month. I hope you've learned something. I hope you've been inspired. I hope that you continue on with what we started. I know I will, but it will just be taking on different forms. For those of you who are in Let's Get Makey Premium with me, I have a lot of stuff really that I'm looking forward to sharing there. So, and then of course we will do something like this again. This isn't goodbye forever. So first, yes, and Deborah, good morning. I am going to stop for a minute. I know I try to not do this, but I do want to stop. I want to thank Deborah Peak and Dana and Emily for sure for you three. I mean, I know there's more people to thank for sure, but you guys have been so steadfast and been here with me every day, and I appreciate it so much. I love seeing your names pop up, and always look forward to seeing what you are doing and you sharing your creativity back with me or with all of us only inspires us all more, inspires me to continue doing things like this. So I hope that when I say how much I appreciate you, that I mean it with all my heart. So Deborah, first of all, said that how fun. We start with the moon and conclude with the sun. And that is what I had in mind pretty much all along because I said, oh, what can I do? That would be a little bit different. Well, I know it's not that much different, but somebody yesterday did say they'd like to see more stamp stracks. So I was like, well, perfect, because we're going to do our sun face with stamp stracks. So, Deborah, yes, pick up a brush. Oh, I don't know if I said something about this. Did see your card yesterday in Rubber Stamp Madness. It is darling. I'm going to post them today. I just haven't had a chance. It's been crazy around here. So, Emily, thank you so much. And it shows your work has been so wonderful. I can't really say enough about it. And Deborah, we always love your cards. So yes, pick up a brush and some watercolor paper and let me see some cards that you made with watercolor. I would love it. Or it doesn't have to be watercolor. It could be acrylic because, you can apply many of these same exact things to acrylic as well. So I thought it'd be fun real quick before we actually start on our project. And I know this will take a little bit of time I was going to go through and show all the days and then show what came from all the days. But you know what? I think maybe I will do that after. And that way, anybody who wants to watch just the project and split can do that. And then I can just stay here and chat with whoever wants to stay around. Okay? We'll do that. All right. So I'm starting with the same thing. My 3x4 inch paper on cold press 300-pound watercolor paper. This is my sample that I started, but it's actually not done. So, and as you will see from the stack of art, which I'm going to show again, I have lots of variations or lots of things where I sort of got inspired by, what I was doing and continued. And so many days we have more than one just for, you know, uh, what am I trying to say? That I started one and then finished it here with you all. So many days I have multiples. Anyway, we are starting with Stampstructs. These three are, no, so these two are from Stampstructs. I'm getting confused. This and this is from Stampstructs 1 collection. Okay, it's the Dream Maker and the Try It. And then we have, I think, and it's from Stampstruct set number 2. And that's all I have out right now. I might pull in another one. I'm not sure, but those are the only 3 that were used for this so far. And then I did want to use a couple different yellows. I had used whatever yellows were on my table, but I chose a couple different yellows. I'm using Core Watercolor, of course, and I'm using the Indian Yellow and the Cadmium Yellow Deep. And then I'm also going to probably pull from my little palette here using my teal. And then I probably will also have to use just the tiniest bit of Payne's Gray from this tin. So these are things familiar to you that I've been using pretty much every day. All right. So I am going to take my Dream Maker stamp and I'm going to just load it up with a little bit of paint. And I think I'm going to start with my Indian Yellow. And of course, making sure my brush is good and clean. Sorry, I have all my egg platters over here making all this racket. Let me move that. I keep going over to the thrift store. Sadly, is right across the street from my house. So I keep going over there and buying more stuff for watercolor. I'm crazy. And I will tell you though, what was I saying? Ceramic, like a porcelain with the white, like this type of deal, is a little bit better than glass, just because when you mix, if you have a white surface, you can see what colors you're mixing. So, if you have a choice between getting like a white platter or something clear, I would recommend the white. But I also just love having these fancy dishes sitting on my table. I don't know. It makes me feel like they're getting some use and makes me feel so thrifty. All right. So I'm going to load up my stamp image here with this Indian Yellow. And if you notice, I did not, this Dream Maker stamp has 3 little like dots on the side. I did not paint those in because I didn't want them to stamp. I'm going to get my Try It stamp on here and ink it up or paint it up also. And I like this whole way of doing it with these Stampstructs. It's really nice because of the way they're drawn. They're drawn very loose and just sketchy. As you can see, they don't have symmetrical or perfect lines, and it makes it really nice because then when I do overlap, or even if, as you can see on this one, maybe you can see I actually got a little far away from the line and it left an opening around it, but it's okay. Like, it's the way that it's drawn already, it really doesn't matter. And you see that I stamped a little further away. I meant to go a little closer in, but I didn't. So it's leaving this little edge, and I can just easily fill that in with paint. If my corners overlap like they did right here, that's okay too, because I can, again, easily sort of paint that out or manipulate it so that it really won't matter. And again, a little bit off. I didn't go as around as nicely as on this one, but that's okay too. And here again, just to let you know, I am using a different brush today. Every other day So far, I have been using my Princeton Long Round, which I love that brush. You know that. That's one that I've recommended for a long time. But recently, I was asked to try out some samples from Silver Brush, and they have actually invited me to be a brush educator, which goes along so nicely with being a golden educator, that they sent me some samples. And I will tell you that I'm in love with their Silver Silk 88 series so far. They sent me like 3 or 4 of this particular style, and I really love it. So I'm gonna invest and buy myself a number 6, because that is one that I'm missing. I don't have a size 6. Anyway, all right. Again, I digress. But I am now dipping into my cadmium yellow deep, and I'm going to go ahead and start to just paint in a little bit. I'm trying to reactivate actually a little bit of the Indian yellow. I was hoping it would move just a little bit more so that it would blend with the yellow that I'm putting down now and sort of make some nice gradients, but it's not moving that much, so I probably will just have to add some back in. So now I'm going to dip back into my Indian yellow and try to just fill in a little bit of this big gap that I have here. And right now I'm sort of using a clean, thirsty brush to pull some of that color away. All right, and I'm going to let that dry because obviously I have to work on the face and I don't want the inside of the face being real wet. So I'm going to switch out my stamp and get my little Mod Marks, which is like a triangle of dots basically, or little marks. And I'm going to dip into my teal and load that up with teal. And again, you may, I'm stamping off because I don't know if I want it super strong. And I'm sort of stamping into those, into the valley area that I created with my Try It stamp. All right, and now I'm just gonna get a little water on my brush, make sure it's clean, and I'm gonna start smushing my teal color around a little bit. So I don't know how many of you have the Stamp Strack stamps, but they are really fun just to get them all out and stamp them, get a big piece of like newsprint like this and just start stamping them so that you can see what you see in them and what kind of imagery calls to you. And if no imagery pops out, then they are great for creating abstracts, which is really what I intended them for in the first place when I designed them. And so I'm sort of creating by this a little bit of hard line of a white, see that like white halo around everything. And I kind of like that because I could leave it as saved whites of the paper, which I like, or I could go in later on and give a little bit more of a glow with a yellow wash or something like that. And so you can kind of see how, again, I'm just building up those layers, and the more I do it, the more the white stands out. And I feel like this is probably dry enough here in the face to go ahead and begin. And as you know, I like this face to uh, sort of build my own and make, whatever style of face I want. Do I want eyebrows? Do I want a wide nose? Do I want, bigger nostrils? Do I want full lips? Do I want open eyes? So all those things I can decide. I can decide which way my eyes will be which way the glance will be looking. Those are all the decisions. And if you really even wanted to, you could, get a pencil and lightly pencil things in. You could obviously stamp a whole bunch again on your newsprint and practice different styles of faces, whatever, uh, whatever fun you want to have with it. So right now, and of course, this face will not come out exactly like this. Even if I try to do it exactly the same, it will be a little bit different. And that's okay. So as you can see, I put some little eyelids just with the very fine point of my brush and a couple little eyeballs. I don't know all the technical terms for all the parts of the eye. So now I'm going to do a little underlining just for a little definition of the eyeball. And I'm just right now still using my Indian yellow, which matches the outline of what I stamped in. I'm going to draw out the mouth just a little bit. And turn the corners of the mouth up just a tad. Give her her little upper lip, which would be sort of shape, and then we're going to underline the bottom lip with sort of a little U shape, okay? And now for the eyebrows, and I'm going to go ahead, I think I'm going to go ahead and do a nose similar to the one I already did on here. I'm going to give her some brows. And I could just do it on one side if I want to, like that, and leave the other side, or put an eyebrow over here. Okay, and I like it like that. I think I'm just going to leave her like that instead of doing the other line down. And now this is where I'm going to just use the tiniest bit of Payne's Gray. I have it in here in my pan set. Again, I know you can't see some of this. I'm just putting some out here in my palette. I don't want my brush to be too watery at all, but it has to be moist enough to where the hairs, the the bristles of the brush stay still together. If it gets much drier, then the bristles won't stay at a nice point. But I don't want anything dripping or anything like that. Filling in her little pupils, I guess. And then I'm going to go ahead and put a dark line at the top. I'm going to go ahead and also put a dark line in the mouth and a couple tiny dots for nostrils. And I'll just keep working, you know, my way around with the color, a little more yellow wash. Right now I'm just adding a little more water. This is just clean water to sort of help you know, pull things together and not make it look just a little more blended, I guess you could say, so I don't look like I just have splotches everywhere. I feel like a lot of watercolor, successful watercolor anyway, would be just to make sure that, you know, things play nicely together in your composition, and you get nice transitions. I'm going to go ahead and fill in her lips. I am going to use just the tiniest bit of my opera pink. I'm going to hit her cheeks. That just a little bit while it's still wet, and then also a little bit on the mouth, although I might mix the color a little bit with some orange or yellow. I don't know. It's such a small amount, it probably doesn't matter that much. And you can see her face really starting to come together. And I like her face seems a little sweeter than this one. This one looks a little bit like, you know, RBF. But this one looks a little sleepier and sweeter. And I actually really like also the way that I've left a lot of the white. It fits really, the white space that's still there really works for the highlights of the face. So I may just go on with a little bit of water and sort of try to stitch a couple little spots together. But all in all, I like this face. Now you can see here, this is from the original stamping. This line is a little bit darker, and I feel like I don't really like how it looks. So I would let that dry just a little bit and maybe go in and drop or put some little dots of that darker color intentionally. But again, it's something I'll have to wait to do. Or maybe even I might take this mark stamp and put some of the marks inside there using the Indian yellow again, but I'll definitely have to wait because I don't really like the way this space is looking that much right now. So, but it'll have to be dry before I can manipulate that more. This one for the actual spacing of the rays, I think is a little bit more successful, but I can still definitely fix that. So anyway, and then I would also, of course, you know, like to maybe do some other, I don't know, what would be good? Oh gosh, maybe some clouds, or I also, you know, you've maybe seen me use this stencil before. I really love this. If I can find it in here, I know I have one. This is one of my all-time favorite stencils that I did for iStencils. we still have a few of these on our website, but we are probably not going to carry the Mylar stencils on our website anymore after they're gone. But iStencils will still carry them. But anyway, this is called Flock, and I really love it. And so maybe I will put a few here. And I think that I'm just trying to get the best. I take a little bit more of my teal color, but I think I'm going to mix it with just a little bit of blue. I want it a little bit darker. And this is the thing. I don't want it to be watery at all, because I don't want any surprises when I pull my stencil up. I don't want to have a lot of water droplets, so that worked out pretty well. I'll do one more up here. So again, if you try stenciling with watercolor, just know that you have to really be very light. Also, your paper really shouldn't be wet either, because it will cause like almost like water pockets underneath. So, and again, what's kind of cool about this, if I don't want something to be super like stand out a lot, I should be able to water it down a little bit and pull some of that color out, just if I wanted it to be a little more subtle. All right. So let me go ahead and clean this off and see if I can add some more dots. And then we'll call it a day. Or we'll call it a month. So I only painted up a little portion of these, and I was going to try to get some of the dots up in there. I'm going to go in with a little bit of full strength color again with the Indian yellow and try to build that line back in just a little bit. And then on this one, I gave her a little tiny bit of blue in her eyes. And I do think it makes a difference, although it's pretty subtle. You might not even really be able to see it, but I like it that it's there. And voila, there is our 31st day. A sun to definitely go with our first. Ta-da! Yay, we did it. So proud of us. All right, so we are done. Oh, Libby, I just looked up and I am sorry that you're sick. I'm happy to see you, Jan. And Maggie, welcome. Patty Campbell's here. I'm so happy you made it for our final day. And Puff. And I hope I'm not missing anyone. I hope you're feeling better, Libby. I know everybody at my house has been sick. And Marin was actually, no, Marin, my daughter, had what everybody had. And now she's saying her throat hurts again. I woke up and I was congested this morning. So I can't be sick, though. I have to, yeah, I have to not be sick. And Mr. Moon is still not 100%. Either whatever we or they all had has really been hanging on, creeping crud. So hopefully August will bring good health to everyone. All right, so now let us go ahead and look at, if you have time and you want to hang around, I was just going to go through all of the months, or all of the days, I'm sorry. And then I was also going to, wait, hold on. If it's a snake, it would bite me. The other sun that I just did, I just lost it already. I don't know what I did with it. Okay, well, here I was. So much for being super organized. All right. That's okay. You saw me do two. And I know the other one's around here somewhere, but I literally don't know what I just did with it. Oh, well. Oh, you guys probably think I'm crazy, but that's okay. All right. So this was day number 1, and we started out, of course, with a moon. How appropriate, right? Day number 2. Oops. Nope. That was the one I was just looking for. All right. So day number 2, I'm showing you the ones that I actually did live, okay? And so this is also from day 2. It was, one of them, was done as a sample, and then one was done live. So, and then day 3, of which we had quite a few that were similar. And some of these I did landscape instead of portrait. So of course they're not included in the actual collection because I tried to do all of them the same, for a myriad of reasons. But anyway, we did quite a few spin-offs from day 3. So all these in this pile are the extras that I've done separately, or, were the extras that were done while showing the same technique. So these were days 3 and 4 were very similar. I think I still had a bunch. Yep, I had quite a few of these. I must have been having fun. Okay, so then I think day 4, we did something really similar as well. And actually, I don't have multiples of this one because I ended up using one of the pieces for a later day. Okay, so then this was day 5. If you remember, the Mindy Lacefield stamp called Girl in Galoshes. She was really fun. And then we did another, we ended up doing another moon on day number 5 day 6 was all about stamp stacks. And we did quite a few pieces. And as you can see, I did one live and I did one behind the scenes as a sample, but both using the same stamps, and then just one with their eyes closed and one with their eyes open. Again, all with stamp stacks. Now, we delved off that day because I was so excited by showing the stamp stacks with watercolor that I ended up doing a whole bunch of kitty cats. And somebody actually said, Jutta actually said, those are my cats. So she bought them right away. So we ended up with 3 different cats. And Jutta has 2 orange cats and a gray cat. So those are going to Jutta as soon as I mail everybody's pieces out. So this was day 7 where we were still working with stamp stacks, and we did a couple owls and then a variation on the owl as well, just to show you, you could really switch it up. So all these ended up from day 6. Also, now I did not show this live on the RubberMoon page. We actually did a little tutorial over in Let's Get Makey Premium, because this was still part of day 6, working with stamp tracks abstractly. Say that 10 times fast. So all those were from day 6, okay? And then day 7. I'm getting confused. Day 6 and 7 were in there. And then this was from day 8. And it's the same exact technique, only I just showed you how to mask off your paper so you would have a nice, beautiful, crisp border. This was day 9, and we just took various stamps and built, I guess you could say built or created this girl. Again, just using a few different stamps, mostly just a face stamp and a couple of the whimsical little images to build sort of this butterfly fairy girl, I guess you could say. And again, with the stamp tracks for day number 10, and obviously I did both of these on camera, but one was landscape and one was portrait. What makes this one a little bit different is it's just a little bit more illustrative and had just a black outline. So instead of like trying to make everything look real painterly, we stamped in black and colored in, which is probably more traditional stamping, I guess. But also it just looks way more illustrative than it does, have a painted look. So day 11 was just bringing in, stamps to kind of create a card, which we weren't doing necessarily card making, but I thought this was a really fun one. Of course, I love the image. And then it was mostly how to create a border, a background, and then, using a stamp with the sentiment. This was day 12. And again, using Kim Geiser's stamps and showing how you could use paint to ink up your stamp in a variety of colors. So you're more working with, sort of almost making your own rainbow pad in a way. And I only had that one. I did another one. A couple of these I have done multiples, but I either used it for another project or for this one I made a friend a card and sent it out already. So this was day 13, and this was kind of like, I guess, a little still life in a way, using a couple different stamps and, creating a background and making it, again, look a little more painterly rather than stamped. And day 14 was really fun. It was a big hit, and that was just about making blobs, colorful, rainbowy blobs, which I love to do. And then either using them to create an image like trees. And of course, this is done the same way, only using different colors. And then, of course, I gave them, tree trunks and branches on that one. And then on this one, I just used some stamps to stamp in and then created a background. This was day number 15. And again, just using a single stamp. And I really showed on this one how to fill in and kind of create your own imagery just from one stamp, and then really creating a lot of depth in the background, working very loose. And I really feel like this is successful because it does look like a little hand-painted floral. I don't think it looks stamped at all. I mean, not that there's anything wrong with things looking stamped, but that's just sort of our idea for doing, for splashing our stamps, right? So this one also a really, really popular one and super easy. Of course, just putting down a wash, letting it dry, and then over stamping in watery watercolor. These words worked really well with this technique. But of course, I did the same technique for 3 different pieces, and a lot of it was about tone on tone. So again, just putting down a wash and then over stamping in watercolor. So all 3 of those pieces, again, made from the same day. Day 17, just about mark making with your watercolors. You could use stamps or you could use just organic marks made by your own hand, cutting them all up and creating a fun abstract collage. And I did both of these pieces live, I believe. Again, really just about coloring your stamps with watercolor, stamping them in a variety of colors, and then creating, washes over the top. Again, just to make it look more like it's your own unique imagery and not necessarily cookie cutter stamping. This one really super fun and really so easy. Just using the Urban Stamp Track set, although you would not have to use those particular stamps. Any stamps that you have that would be squares or, things that can work for window or door openings. You're stamping them down first and then creating all the imagery around it. So I actually stamped all the little windows that you see first, using a graphite watercolor, and then creating the buildings around it. This was from day 20, and this what I call sort of like a color blocking, where you're just laying down a variety of colors, sort of in squares, or they're not really squares as you can see, but just areas of color, and then over stamping again, usually tone on tone, to create sort of a sampler. Again, this one was really popular with all of you, and I got to see a bunch of you recreated this in your own, in your own way, and it was really, really fun to see. Day 21 was using, again, sort of image stamps, but using them in your own way and using pieces of the stamp instead of the stamp in its entirety. So like this goddess stamp actually has a head. I decided to not paint in the head and then use flowers in its place. And all the little flowers are just various flowers from either Maxie's Garden Mix. Well, actually, I think maybe all these are from Maxie's Garden Mix, and then a little bit of the burst stamp from the Stamp Tracks collection. Again, just creating imagery, different imagery with your stamps, maybe a little bit differently than they were intended, I guess you could say. This one was a fun one. Again, I used a variety of techniques that I had shown earlier in the month to sort of paint her in. And then I did something similar. Some of the pieces on this side are done on 140-pound paper instead of 300-pound paper. And this was just a similar technique. I stamped this Mona Lisa stamp in black permanent ink and then just painted over her just for fun. So day 23. And if you recall, this is actually the one that I did on camera. This was the one when we were using masking fluid that I had a little, I think most of the month went really smoothly, actually. I didn't have too many snafus, but this was the day I had the biggest snafu, and that is that I found out that masking fluid does not work on 300-pound cotton paper. It soaks in to the fibers of the paper too much and it tears the paper. So it was a good learning lesson for me. But I did recreate the one successful piece I feel was this free to fly image, and I recreated it just on another piece of the 300-pound because I wanted it going again portrait rather than landscape. So keeping that as day 23, even though this was the one that was created live. This one was about a little bit of resist using just a wax crayon, and then also using pieces of, leftover watercolor splotches, or if you do any sort of, watercolor charts or color charts, things like that. If you have pieces laying around that you can cut out and utilize in, if you were going to make a greeting card or another, say, collage piece of work. But again, this one was really fun. A lot of you liked that crayon resist. Something really simple, but pretty, fun and useful. So then let's see here. This one was day 25. And as you know, day 25 really inspired me a lot. It inspired me so much that I created an actual stamp of a color wheel. So, your own work can inspire other things that you really don't even think of. But after I was doing some color wheels for the month, I was like, wow, I need a stamp of a color wheel. So I did, and I'm loving it. And I can't wait to share some useful, fun projects with this guy. Anyway, so that was color wheel. Many of you had really beautiful ones of these. I have to say, I was so impressed. Emily shared with us one that she had done, and she made it a bicycle wheel, which was brilliant and adorable and whimsical. And then I don't mean to not mention everybody because I love everything I see, but the other one that really stood out to me was Robin. And I don't know if Robin's here. I haven't seen her name pop up, but Robin did one that she did a really dark, beautiful background and made them just pop. And and she did multiple color wheels on one page with this beautiful dark background, and I loved it so much. Anyway, so then day number 26. Okay, we did the snowman. Very simple. Also seemed very popular. I loved it so much that after I went off camera, I just stamped out 4 pieces of 140-pound watercolor paper and went to town with this little guy because it was just so fun. It was just too irresistible. I had such a great time. Actually, I think, yeah, I can't remember. Yeah, this one I did on camera. And then these 4, I can tell the difference, I guess, because these are on thinner paper, but what a blast, such a fun little image to color in. And I'm showing you all these because I want you to see the amount of work just from sticking to something for 30 days, what it can really mean to you and your body of work. And of course, these are small pieces, so they're not super substantial, but I mean, there's so many things that I could do with these, or they can also just be what's known as a maquette, and that would be a small piece to, create a larger piece from. So hopefully that helps you. I forgot one of the snowmen. I must have done 5 snowmen. So, and like, I just love all their little different scarves. And it's so easy to change and manipulate that it's really a no-brainer to be able to fill in your own little details. And then I don't have the stamp here to show you the original, what it looks like, but his little hat, when you stamp him, his little hat is like this tiny little thing, and it's not even attached to his head. It like sits way up. So when you stamp it in a light color, it was so easy to manipulate and paint right over and create my own hat, All right, so moving on. This was day number 27. And again, just using a variety of images to create a larger picture, to create different imagery. And in this case, I was actually inspired by a book cover of another artist that I really, really love. And I took that idea and wanted to see if I could pull it together using stamps. And I certainly did. And it also seemed to be a really popular one with all of you. Here I did my original, just my practice one on smaller or on thinner paper. And I didn't like it as well just because I stamped this saying in it and I stamped it a little bit too low. So, wasn't super thrilled with it, but it was good enough to, spur me on, encourage me, and inspire me to create the second piece, which I do like better. And I definitely would like to write something. I think a beautiful quote inside here, and then this could be the name of the person that said the quote. So that would be a neat thing to do. But of invitation or some kind of announcement. Anyway, really fun to do. Day number 28 also, I really love this one. I really enjoyed creating it so much that, again, I was inspired to create multiples, again, using another artist as my inspiration. And again, not wanting to copy somebody, but just to use that idea to see how far I could push my stamps. And then as I begin to create my own, this is my own. It's not like I've never done faces or things in people's hair, but again, using another artist for that inspiration, and then really sort of coming around. This one, I think, was my sample piece. This was the one I did on camera. And then afterwards, I wanted to just push it a little bit more and see, if I could make different color ways, different faces, And those are the other two I came up with. And I am very partial to this. I really love her. She's much more simple, a much different palette than I usually use, but I really like her. There's just something about her that's very peaceful and calm. And I really like the color palette a lot. And I also like that it is a little bit more simple and maybe doesn't have all of the, florals quite as much on her. So now this piece, again, the one I pretty much did on camera, a boot, and this was done using a stencil instead of a stamp. But I ended up creating two pieces, and I really love the way this one came out. This one was done, both of them were partially done on camera, but I believe I finished this one up after I was off camera, and I really like it. The difference being, of course, that I didn't put the word "ohm" up here. Or some of the patterns and colors fell, worked out a lot better than the one I did on camera. Because if you'll recall, this was from, let's see if I can find it, day, let's see if it's in here. I actually pulled from like day 4. I used one of the backgrounds that was already done from, I can't remember exactly, day 4, 3 or 4, not sure. Anyway, and then put the stencil right over the top of that and watercolored it. And so that's why you see that little pattern underneath him. Okay, so again, super fun. And I would say for me, this probably is one of my favorites of the month, my personal favorites. And then yesterday we did the mushy mushrooms. Not so much different in any really technique, only that I stamped in sort of an unexpected color and layered over the top of that color. So instead of stamping in a real pale color and building up over the top of that, I stamped in a very bright dark color, which was my transparent pyrrole orange, and then did layering over the top of that. And it's a different look, but I like it. It's fun, it's lively, and it works. So these two were from day number 30. And of course, today we end with our sunshine. And whoops. And now you can see the stack of work created just from our 31 days of Watercolor Month. Yay. Yay. All right. Whew. Okay, I need to take a breath. I've been talking a lot. So let me look at the comments. Juliet says, I want to rewatch all the videos. Will they remain on YouTube? I even like to have them playing instead of music when I'm doing things. Oh my gosh, you're so sweet. So yes, so they will be up. We are going to keep the videos up for another month for sure. Okay, I don't know. I haven't yet decided about keeping them up permanently. I will be honest with you. So I'm just going to say right now, they will stay up for 30 more days. Okay. And I might end up leaving them up. I just don't know yet, but a minimum of 30 days. All right. And Emily said, a lot of your work will make awesome stickers. So yes, we are planning on doing some as stickers. And I know for sure, I know Gina hasn't been here very often. I've missed her a lot, but Gina will love that we're making stickers from them because she loves stickers. Let's see what else. Well, thank you so much, Emily, for that. And Christy, they both said they love the Floral Girls, and I can't wait to see more of yours, of course. Goodness. So I do want to just mention a couple things as we wrap up today, and that is yeah, Jan, that's a good idea. I don't know if I can reload. Jan says, I wish you could put them in a folder with the password to RubberMoon or Let's Get Makey Premium. They're great as forever inspiration. I don't honestly know if we can do that because on YouTube, they are filmed at a higher resolution. Facebook does not have that capacity. So I'm not 100% sure if I can do that, but I may just put them in a password protected area on YouTube and keep them available, for premium members and stuff like that. So we just haven't decided yet. I promise I will keep you posted, and I will, I will definitely let you know. I'm not going away forever. I'm thinking that I might come back. Well, I'll just tell you a couple of things. First of all, I hoped to include stamps from everyone in this series. So like, I didn't use any stamps from Natalie or from, I don't think I really used any of Sunny's or Natalie's or Lori Franklin's. There was a few people that I missed, and not on purpose. It was just because, I was really going by I don't know, just certain things, whatever really inspired me at the moment. A lot of them were done spontaneously. So there was no real rhyme or reason, but my plan is to come back at least once a week and do a once a week thing. I just don't have it together yet, but I promise I will let you know. Because I don't want to lose not only the momentum, but I think we've started something pretty special. So, and I think watercolor is always something to be celebrated. So, I'll make sure to make an announcement, and I will come back here to do something else again to get that going. I don't mean to sound so uninformed. I have to make some decisions. Anyway, yes, like an artist a week, I think would be really, really great. I've been thinking about doing that for a while anyway. I do want to say again, if any of you are interested in coming to an in-person Let's Get Makey session, I will be hosting that in St. Louis starting in September. So hopefully you can make it to one of those. September 20. I don't have the date. Maxi Moon, if you're still here, do you remember the date of our September Makey? I just don't have it in front of me right now. It's on a Tuesday. I know that. So anyway, if you have enjoyed this month, I hope that you will consider a small or any size donation to my World Watercolor Month tip jar. And that is only because then the more I can, the better I can do with that, the more free content I can offer, which I love doing. So I have appreciated your donations. I want you to know, and keep in mind, any donation gets one of these paintings. I'm going to be sending them off this coming week. And it'll just be a random painting will go out to you from the month. Okay. Anyway, all right. So I have to say and talk about if I'm forgetting something, because I always do. Maxie will remind me afterwards. I want to read the rest of the comments and see if I'm missing anything. I hope I'm not missing anybody or missing anything. I will go back and reread them again and make sure to answer you if I did. As I always say, and I truly mean that I appreciate each and every one of you. I thank you so much for joining me as I get to do what I love most in the world, or one of the things I love most in the world, and that is to make art and share art, otherwise known as getting makey. Anyway, thank you again so much. I love you to the moon and back. I won't see you tomorrow morning at 11, but I will post some things. I will be posting our new Let's Get Makey premium schedule. And so for those of you who are in Let's Get Makey Premium, remember we are going to be starting our golden journal. Okay. So this is going to be an ongoing project in Let's Get Makey Premium, where we will be using golden paints and mediums for a different page to fill up our accordion journal, so that you can have a reference journal to access for all of your mixed media needs. All right. Thank you. Have a wonderful day and go get makey. Mwah. Bye. Oh, I'm going to miss you all so much. See you later.